ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and I can't believe I'm saying this. It's almost like a proud dad moment here. Year number 4, NCAA Insiders, college baseball. We go back 4 years ago when you guys said, college baseball, what's that? And these two gentlemen right here, Matt Grissom, Quentin Mills, and a few others behind the desk and scene, have taken it to the next level where they're not only on VSiN, Sports Grid. They're out hanging with Derek Stevens and Circuit in Omaha doing live shows there, and they have just put the spotlight where it should be in college baseball. We're here to preview year 2026. They're big SEC guys, Q, of course, Florida, and Matt, the heartbreak city of Arkansas baseball. We could talk hours just on that, but we'll get to that. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. And of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. Terry's done it all. Head on over to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Without further ado, let's bring them in. Mr. Matt Grissom and Mr. Quentin Mills. What's up, boys?
Well, it's like Christmas morning for us. The Diamond Report printed copies are going to be here in about 45 minutes, according to the UPS app. So I'm very excited. I will rip that box open, grab that folder, and just nerd out for about 30 minutes and then quickly begin packaging them up so we can get them out to everyone that pre-ordered. Overwhelming response to this. It's absolutely an awesome tool and resource. If you don't have it yet, go get it. Download thediamondreport.com. We are unfortunately sold out on the pre-orders for the printed copy. You can download the digital copy. Features written 2-page articles on every single Power 4 team, and then every mid-major is covered with a 2-page spread. So go download it, $20, digital download, get you ready for the season. Well, there, I got the salesy part out of the way.
Just make sure there's an extra one, and I want it signed, sir.
We'll figure it out. I called UPS yesterday to get estimates on shipping, and they told me $36 a piece.
To ship?
Oh, yeah. Printing, we got to figure out a solution. So if anybody's hearing this, it knows. Apparently, the Northeast has a lot of printing companies.
We do.
Okay. Magazine printing and shipping, drop shipping, something. It's going to end up costing probably around $60. So we're going to go in the hole, $10 a magazine for anybody that thought $50 a piece. These people are crazy. No, the costs are outrageous. So if you have a solution, hit me up. M. Grissom on Twitter. DM me and let me know that you can mass produce magazines for a low, low price.
Q, long time no chat. How you doing?
It's good. It's good. I took college football off from the media side,
We welcomed our third child over the winter, and it's just, it was a lot. So we're getting back into the swing of things, and I'm ready to get back into college baseball. It's always been the number one priority sports wise. And, Matt and the team did incredible with the Diamond Report, and that's only preseason. And, that just means that we're that much closer. And, baseball's 8 days away. And to me, our Christmas, his is the TDR. Mine is first pitch opening day in Puerto Rico about 10 a.m. I'll be locked and loaded.
Well, before we dig into reminisce a little about the championship last year, LSU and Coastal Carolina, Matt, you want to go what the off season has been like and talk about the good news?
The good news for the off season is, there's a couple of big storylines. Probably biggest thing, Josh Elander taking over for Tony Vitello, who leaves college baseball. One of the most captivating college baseball head coaches in the biggest league, now gone. And Dave Van Horn returns for another year. Brian O'Connor leaves Virginia to take the Mississippi State job. The playoff field, now they're reseeding from, instead of 1 through 16, it's going to be 1 through 32. Which is going to be a big deal for like regionalized locals localization of regionals, I should say, because now you're not getting these UTSAs for like a strong 2 seed getting thrown in the Texas regional or Coastal Carolina getting ECU or something just because of how close they are. But you have anything else to add?
The other coach was Chris Pollard, leaving Duke to go fill the role in Virginia. He's a Virginia native, so that's going to translate. I joke, I call it the Charlottesville Blue Devils. Half the team went there, and then you got the Mississippi State Cavaliers. So it's kind of funny, but no, I think you touched on a big one was the scholarships. So now instead of 11.7, they go to 34 scholarships, which is great for college baseball. It's a lot more percentage covered for the athlete, and then I think you touched everything else.
All right.
Been working hard behind the scenes.
Let's stick with you, Q. Omaha, you guys were both there, rubbing elbows with Derek, Veason, Jello shots. Take us back there. I do know that the championship series, LSU versus a Coastal Carolina team that, correct me if I'm wrong, had won, I think, 23 in a row, 26 in a row heading into that. I believe
it was 28 in a row.
28 in a row heading into that series. Bring us back to Omaha, the glory days where you guys will be again this year. And then, of course, the final series, LSU and Coastal.
We had another fantastic year for weather. We've been blessed since Matt's been out there with me. I think in 5 years, I've only had 2 rain delays, and one of them actually ended up being one of the best times with Eduardo Perez and a couple fans that follow us loyally. In the middle of a tornado warning, we're chopping it up. And so, that was pretty cool. But last year, the Jot Shots were the sponsor for the Jello Shots. They packed a punch. They were definitely the strongest Jello Shots to date. It'd be interesting if they come back. And if they do, are they going to have to be dialed down a little bit? But then we looked at the college play, the championship series. And even though it wasn't a 3-game series, it felt like a 3-game series. I felt like Coastal really deserved to be there. And they really didn't get blown out of either game. You could definitely see a talent. I don't want to say gap. I think there was just kind of that extra gas. The one thing that kind of clinched the series for LSU was they bring in a pitcher who could throw about 102, and that's just something Coastal hasn't seen before. They did manage to score a run off of him, but just ended up not surmounting to enough. But I'll tell you what, Coastal Carolina is not a mid-major by any means. What Gary Gilmore instilled in that program with a national title in 2016 to then give the reins to Coach Kevin Schnall, it's just incredible. I mean, they could go into the ACC and compete and be one of the higher-rated teams there. They probably could do better than South Carolina right now in the SEC. I mean, they just have such a loaded roster on both sides, from the pitching staff to the offense. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do this year. But they played a hell of a series to LSU, and LSU is, I don't care who you talk to, nobody's going to sit there and say it was a walk in the park to play the Chants there in the final. So it was a good national title.
Matt, we get to the series, the 8 teams there, and LSU with that win, I think they're now 9-1 when they get to the dance. It was like, we go through the preseason, we went through the whole season, and the big dogs were all there. And then, of course, Coastal was one of the talks because of the winning streak. You get there, the buzz, you're rubbing elbows, all the fans are there. At what point did you say, oh, shit, it's going to be tough to beat this Tigers team?
Really, from the first draw, you knew that Arkansas and LSU, if they could get past the regional, they could get past the super regional with Tennessee. You were staring at LSU and Cade Anderson, worthy of a top pick in the MLB draft. We knew that he was going to be tough to beat. He had beaten us in Baton Rouge in our regular season series. And I think I said it every chance I got. Whoever won game one was probably going to win the national championship. And unfortunately, it happened. I really thought that we'd push him to game three if that ball doesn't go off Davelin's glove when he's falling to the ground. But it is what it is. Arkansas always finds a new way to lose. As unfortunate as it may be, I'm still overly optimistic about this team. This is probably the first year that I've gone into the season not really having a strong opinion of the Razorbacks, which kind of seems like it was last year for LSU. I had LSU in my futures portfolio from way back before the season even sniffed a start. I think I placed that bet in like late November of 2024 for LSU to win on a hunch that, this Cade Anderson guy and Anthony Einson may be pretty good. Didn't really know how the offense was going to be. Jay Johnson's a hell of a coach, so, it made sense to back him at 11-1 or whatever it was. But as the season kind of went on, you start looking and you're like, yeah, that's probably a good bet. And then at that point, it's hard to give it out, when there's plus 700, plus 750. So you need to hope that they hit a little bump in the road, but not the type of bump that is going to derail the complete, the way of the season. And LSU they fit the mold. They had enough on offense. They had a really good 1-2 punch. And when you look back, Arkansas's biggest bugaboo going into last year was the offense. I would say the biggest problem was we never really had a solidified Friday night starter last year. And look, we were still one of the top 3 teams there with a chance to go to the national championship series. Can Arkansas be even better this year? I'm hopeful that they have some characteristics of last year's LSU team where Gabe Gackle really just jumps on the scene like Blake Anderson did. Or I just said Blake Anderson. That's Arkansas State old head coach, but I don't know where I'm going with. But Cade Anderson. And then can Hunter Dietz be that hard-throwing lefty that lives up to all the hype? We'll see. But it's not going to surprise me if we see Arkansas back in Omaha again.
All right, Q, there's your stage for the Florida Gator Report.
Man, it's been a lot since Conway Regional. Kevin O'Sullivan gets into a disagreement that goes pretty viral. He ends up taking a 3-game suspension into this season. Then there was some off-field drama where he stepped away from the team. And then Chuck Girolamo leaves for Tennessee as the assistant head coach there to his former player, Josh Elander. And it's Florida's last year, they were a team that always gave you a good fight. They just were so injury riddled. It was like anytime they got any momentum, another guy would go down, to the point they had to, in the 7th inning of a game, pull somebody's, essentially say, hey, kid, you're either going to redshirt or you're going to play, in the field. And he chose to play in the field. And that's kind of the team that Florida was. And they ran out of gas against 2 quality mid-majors of Coastal and East Carolina. Some of the scrappiest teams in America. That's just so hard to play with when you don't have anybody that's healthy. This year, everybody's starting to come back. They get Kyle Jones. He was a freshman All-American. You get, Cade Curlin. Freshman year and sophomore year. Sophomore year was a little slump, but he turned it on in Omaha. Freshman year, he was a freshman All-American. And then, you get probably one of the best 1-2 punches in Liam Peterson and Aiden King. And then there's this other guy by the name of Luke McNeely that most people know in SEC as your third guy. It may be preseason the best 1, 2, 3 rotation in the SEC. If those guys can all stay healthy and they can just give you solid quality seasons, they don't even have to be elite. Then every game you're going to be in off the bump, you're going to be in. Bullpen, same thing. They had no depth. This year, they're coming back with a lot more depth. They went and got some key transfers. And then offense, you got Brennan Lawson. He's one of the top 5 prospects in the 2027 draft. If he can have a good year. They go get this kid that nobody ever heard of from Ole Miss, Ethan Surowiec. I probably pronounced that wrong. Surowiec. He hits 17 home runs in a summer league, which is insane. And he's just done it all fall and all spring. So Florida has the pieces. And, I gave it out in the Diamond Report as an Omaha team. And, there's a reason that they say Sully has a home in Omaha, and that's because he lives there half the time of his career in the summer. And, we'll talk about prices here, but you can get a hell of a price for a Gators team that has gone to Omaha more than they haven't under his reign. So if they can just stay healthy, then I think they can definitely be a sleeper. And, to be honest, if they make it, it shouldn't come as any surprise knowing Kevin O'Sullivan's history.
I have DraftKings right now and SEC regular season conference winner. Arkansas, congrats, Matt, plus 330, LSU plus 450, Georgia plus 550, Knicks, Tennessee Vols plus 600, Texas plus 750. Here comes Vandy at plus 1100, Mississippi State 1400, Auburn 1900. Here's the first question. Injuries, and more injuries for this team last year. Don't you have to add Texas A&M plus 2,000 to your portfolio right now, Matt?
I don't think so. I just don't think they're going to have the pitching staff.
Yeah.
We saw last year Michael Early, first-year head coach, really struggled with the talented team. And, they were preseason number 1. I think people quickly forget. And that was kind of the other thing to touch on Mississippi State there at 14-1. Brian O'Connor took over. Yes. He got a lot of transfers in. Yes. Virginia started preseason number 2 last year, and they missed the tournament. So, yeah, you replaced your Mississippi State team with half the studs that were still on the team, like Ace Reese, and then you brought in Virginia 2.0. But what is that team actually going to be? The pitching staff, really, I have a lot of question marks about. This is unfortunate because Arkansas and Texas both dipped in the stats. I think I got Arkansas 5-1 last week, and then Texas 10-1. Both of those numbers almost cut in half. Georgia is the biggest question mark for me. This team, I think they brought in like 40 transfers. The whole pitching staff is rebuilt. The lineup is going to have a lot of studs, but Wes Johnson has this thing where he can't get out of a regional. I don't know. They're one of the shortest shots to win it all. It's a big question mark. It's a big undertaking, though, to come in with this. You get Caden Aoki from the West Coast. You get Joey Volchko from Stanford. You get Dylan Vignew from Michigan. I mean, it's like he's assembled this team of guys, but can they all play in the SEC for like the biggest question mark? Can Caden Aoki from USC go from throwing a 94-mile-per-hour fastball to striking out big league hitters basically week in and week out? I don't know. I'm not saying they're not deserving of being a short shot, but they are definitely the team that I'm like most intrigued to see play, because it's either going to be awesome and they're going to be competitive, or it's going to be an absolute dumpster fire and they're going to turn into like Texas A&M did last year.
Q, I'll go further down. Auburn 1,900, Ole Miss is 2,000, Kentucky 2,000, your Gators 2,000, Alabama 2,200, Oklahoma 3,000, South Carolina 6,500, and the dregs of the dregs, Missouri plus 15,000.
Yeah, I had to hang on, Q, because I'm about to go on mute because my dog keeps barking. But I had to say, I had to kind of lay up Q here to take over because this guy picked LSU to go back to back. So y'all can talk about that. Hang on.
Yeah, so SEC, I'm going to take a little different approach. If we're talking about strictly a conference, you kind of have to wait towards the top. Matt, I got Texas at 10-1, and I got Arkansas at 5-1. I do think LSU could get there, right? But for the most part, the SEC conference winners are typically the same 3 or 4 teams. I think where you see value is, I'll just give you a Mississippi State. Right now, the SEC's 14-1. Do I think they're going to win that? No. Do I think that they could shock some teams and figure out a way to go to, Omaha? That's the better ticket, right? Is to take them there, because you could still lose your conference per se, or not win the regular season title and still make a run. It happens all the time. So when we're talking about just the regular seasons, I'm pretty hesitant to pull the trigger on a ton. Arkansas makes a ton of sense. They have in my opinion, one of the more blessed schedules in the SEC this year. And then Dave Van Horn just figures out how to win 18 to 20 games a year in the SEC. It's almost unheard of. I think the lowest in 10 years that he's been there has been like 18 and 12. And so, they're a short shot to always be in the top 1, 2, or 3 teams. So that, to me, that's a good value bet. But then Texas is probably one of the most complete teams when you look at their pitching staff on paper and their hitting roster on paper. So I think 10-1 now, even 7.5. I don't think for the regular season those are bad numbers still. Tennessee at 6-1. I still need to see Tennessee's pitching, and then Georgia, same thing. Like I think these guys could be really good. Aoki, was 91-92 to USC, but again, these are big league ball players. This is like pitching AA baseball every single weekend. Can you do that every weekend and be good? And then you look at Joey Volchko and Matt Scott coming from Stanford. Stanford was brutal last year. Let's just call it for what it is. And they both got shelled. Like you could tell, right? They're throwing mid-high 90s, and that's great. But when you're putting belt-high fastballs, you're going to get smoked against guys like Ace Reese, and other gentlemen like Ethan Sorowick and, any other big league hitter in the SEC. So could they do it? Sure. Do they have the quote unquote coach that was a pitching guru in Wes Johnson? Yeah, that's what he's known for at LSU and the Twins. Is it going to happen? I don't see it with these guys. I think it's going to be another season where they're trying to win games 15-13, and that's how you don't get out of a regional.
Any closing thoughts on the SEC, Mr. Grissom?
Well, I completely glossed over it with the Arkansas Razorbacks breakdown, but their schedule is really favorable. They get Oklahoma, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Missouri, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, South Carolina, Mississippi State. Notice I didn't say LSU, didn't say Texas. You don't get A&M, Tennessee. It's very favorable for them to win, and I think that's a lot of why the odds have flipped for LSU to be the second shortest shot and Arkansas to be the short shot. So look at all the schedules, which are also in the Diamond Report. It is regular season.
Okay. I pulled up the team futures page to, I was going to say cut down the nets, but of course that's for UConn this year. I meant the UConn women. So I'll just leave it there. Almost minus 300 right now on DraftKings to win it all. Here you go. Here is to win the 2026 College World Series. LSU 7-1, Arkansas 11-1. We finally get someone out of the SEC. UCLA plus 1,200. Nick talked about them a couple of weeks ago. Georgia at 14-1, Texas 15-1, Mississippi State 18-1. North Carolina, ACC territory, 19-1. Here comes Vanderbilt, plus 2,000. Florida State, plus 2,200. Coastal, 25-1. The Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech, 28-1. And Oregon State, plus 3,000. So I'm going to go back to Q for a second because I always like to pick your brain. The Virginias, the Vanderbilts. Sounds like the ACC going to be competitive this year.
I think so. North Carolina's going to be up there, for the flack that, the O'Connor going to Mississippi State and Pollard coming to UVA. They were one game away from making it to Omaha. They made another super regional earlier on in his career. He's got more money now. He's got a better stadium. He's got better funding and more support there in Virginia. And I think they could kind of be slept on. Now, the big thing is, can Kyle Johnson go back to his freshman year and be that Friday night guy that Pollard believes he can be? If that happens, then I think they're a real shot. They have Gracia. They have Becker. They have a ton of pieces. Didawick, who should be primed for a bounce-back year. Offensively, Joe Tiroli, they should rake the ball. It just really comes down to pitching. Can Zukowski stay healthy? Again, the Kyle Johnson, can he be your Friday night guy? If those answers are yes, then Virginia can make a deep run. And at some point, I got to believe, as good as a coach Chris Pollard is, he's going to make Omaha one year. North Carolina is one of my favorites to make Omaha. Georgia Tech, everybody loves Georgia Tech. They're a preseason top 3, top 4 team in just about every, article that comes out. They have the pieces on paper. Their offense is just as stacked as Georgia. They're going to score 10 to 15 runs a game, and you're not even going to bat an eye. It's the pitching staff that concerns me. They pitched pretty well last year towards the end of the season. I would consider them a good staff. I wouldn't consider them an elite staff. But when it matters most, they just haven't proven that they can win. Last year they lost, as kind of a heavy favorite in their regional, and they couldn't handle it. This year, again, it's the same guys, and I understand people grow, but I also understand people can kind of flame out, and they're just not what you expect. I'm not saying anything negative about the pitching staff. I'm saying they need to prove that they can make it to a super regional and forward. So I do think there are some horses that the ACC has. It's just whether they can make the full run or not.
Matt?
Yeah, the comment that the ACC is better than the SEC, I think I brought this up last year. I think top to bottom, ACC is better. But when you look at the top maybe 3 to 5, which are your guys that are going to be in Omaha competing for a national championship, I think the SEC is better. So let's play a game. You want LSU, Arkansas, or Texas to win the national championship, or would you rather have a ticket that had Florida State, North Carolina, Georgia Tech?
I'd lean SEC.
I think it's SEC.
Yeah.
But when you go down the board, would you rather have a Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Texas A&M, or would you rather have a Clemson, Virginia, NC State? I think that's when you start to trust the ACC a little bit more. So, yes, maybe top to bottom, ACC is better. Top 5, top 6, I think the SEC still remains supreme. And unfortunately, college baseball is super chalky. And if you look at this odds board, I would say about after, row 20, you can stop looking because your national champ is going to come from that upper portion. So that's really what you got to look at the end of the day.
Well, speaking of that, again, the season starts next weekend. I got a lot of people watching right now and listening. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you turn on your notifications. Quentin and Matt will be here every Thursday at 1:00 to talk about the weekend, the Friday Night Lights, of course. We're going to try to bring Nick Hathcote in early on the week for the midweek games. Coastal was one of those teams way down to start the year. So as we always do, we might want to add a couple to our portfolio. Again, some pizza and beer sprinkles. I'll start with you, Matt. Where would your eyes begin? I heard a little birdie tell me a few weeks ago, if I remember correctly, like a Cal Baptist. Does that sound correct?
No, not high on Cal Baptist. I do like UC Santa Barbara and UC Irvine, though, out of the Big West. I think pitching staff is going to reign supreme, especially out there. West Coast baseball really hadn't had the big-time hitters like they had back in the 90s. So I really like the 1-2 punch with Ricky Ojeda and Trevor Hansen at UC Irvine. I think the Anteaters are going to be a lot of fun. And then UC Santa Barbara, they get an early test. I think they play UCLA to open up. I may be wrong, Q. I'm gonna look that up just to be sure. It is a good matchup, but I want to say UC Santa Barbara doesn't play UCLA, but it's somebody close. But when you look at mid majors, I like strong pitching staffs, teams that are going to be able to win Friday and Saturday night, and then that's going to put you in a position to win that regular season conference championship. Now, we don't have odds yet for those. I think you get a couple of mid majors. Let me just check. Yeah, so we get the American and Conference USA. Big West is out there. UC Irvine plus 120, UC Santa Barbara plus 235. I think either one of those being plus money, that it's going to be one of those two teams. So I would look at something like that. I know that's a long time to wait out to have something in your portfolio. But as we saw last year, even with Coastal Carolina, if you took them 40-1 or 50-1 or whatever they were at preseason, it still didn't cash. It's still an SEC team. It's still chalk that is going to win it all. So that's where I really like the team to make the College World Series odds. It's not as juicy, but you're looking at finishing in the top 8. I mean, you had great odds on Arizona, Louisville last year, Coastal Carolina, all to make the College World Series at plus 400 or higher. I think that's the market where you really look at. And if you like Coastal Carolina this year with Cam Flukie coming back, plus 380 to make the College World Series. They don't have to win it, but I'll take a plus 380 all day on a team that I trust, like the Chanticleers.
Well, if you were sitting with a plus 4,000, plus 5,000 ticket from pre-flop, and most normal people wouldn't have had a full unit on it, but you got to that championship series. Holy cow, what a hedge opportunity there with you holding your LSU 11-1 there, Matt.
Yeah. Absolutely. It'll put you in a position to hedge, but I'd rather win and not be in that position. Because if you think back, I tried that with LSU in Florida, decided not to hedge. Florida wins game 2, feeling really good. Open up game 3 with a home run to left field. And then it was all LSU.
I got a text saying, Q, this one's over. Congrats. When they went up 2-0, and here we go. We looked at a 17 or 15-2 loss.
Yeah.
No, I'll second that with Matt. Coastal Carolina plus 380 to make the College World Series, I think, is one of my favorite bets of the entire season. I'll just tell you right now, I hammered it responsibly. When you look at their lineup, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's stacked. They have so many good hitters that return. They brought in some really good players. And then Cam Flukie, one of the top 2 pitchers, probably the top in college baseball this year. Hayden Johnson, one of the better lefties in college baseball this year, is going to slide into a Saturday role, which I think he'll do well in. They're just, like I said, they should be a Power 4 team. They're just kind of, not that the Sun Belt's bad by any means, but they're just another level ahead of the second best team in that conference. And then they have Dominic Carbone, Ryan Lynch, like 2 preseason All-Americans coming from the bullpen, and got a head coach that tasted the taste of loss last year. He gets ejected in game 2. Like, tell me that isn't some motivation to get back and prove these guys wrong. And I'll give you another value play. You don't have to take them to win it, but you could take Florida at plus 450. Again, we talked about it. Sully goes there more than he doesn't. But if you're really feeling froggy and you want a value play that's a realistic value play, we're not putting 90-1 on Campbell, or anybody else like that. But Florida at 40-1 is pretty realistic. I'll tell you, 2 teams that always find a way to make it are Elliott Avent at NC State and Florida. And so I think at 40-1, it's one of the better value plays preseason, because I think it's going to go down. I'm not saying it's going to touch 11-1 by any means, but to hit that number on a small bet is pretty solid.
Matt, you brought up, we always talk left coast. You brought up Cal Irvine, Santa Barbara. I see UCLA as the 3rd favorite at plus 1,200. We know the pedigree and resume of an Oregon State. Talk about those 2 teams, and then anyone else out west that we should be looking at.
Yeah, to correct my earlier, UCLA plays UC San Diego. UC Santa Barbara plays at Pete Taylor Park at Southern Miss, which is going to be a good series. Jackson Flora for UC Santa Barbara, another good pitcher out in the Big West. So keep your eye on those 2 teams with the UC Irvine and UC Santa Barbara. But Oregon State, UCLA, both 2 teams that are in my Omaha 8. I think they're going to be very good. Not sure about the pitching staff for UCLA. They're probably going to start a true freshman, so we'll see if Angel Cervantes is what he can be. Couldn't be the more opposite statement for Oregon State, though, with Ethan Kleinschmidt, Dax Whitney coming back, true 1-2 punch. They're independent, so they get to create their own schedule. They should win every single weekend series that they play, put them in a good national seed hosting picture. And I mean, the Beavers, yeah, they lose some on offense and up the middle infield, but I don't see why this team, Mitch Canham, doesn't get him back to Omaha.
Before we wrap this up, I have to ask the Beast of the East, Huskies left outside looking in. We knew when you start the season 3-15 or whatever it was, even though they went on an amazing run, but kind of surprised that they got left out. Anyone with any update? They should have a chip on their shoulder, gentlemen. And I hope they bounce back and at least they make the dance this year, gentlemen.
Yeah, I think they do. Diamond Report has, I think, Jim Penders as the Big East Coach of the Year. Got Tyler Minnick for the Player of the Year in the conference. I think this team's going to be really good. You're going to be able to be proud of your Huskies on the diamond this year, Jeff. Are they an Omaha team? I don't know. But
fade them early on. Don't fade them towards the end of the season. I don't know what it is, but Pender's teams always start slow, and then they just get scorching hot. So if you're going to go against them, it better be in February and March, because come end of March, April, May, they're typically on it there.
Yeah, I just the scheduling, because they can't be playing out at stores next Friday. So whether in Puerto Rico, whether they're down in Florida, and then they jump over and they're playing, out west somewhere, it catches up to these guys early. And last year it was just brutal. I mean, no one expected that kind of start, so it was kind of crazy. Scroll has been going the whole time, gentlemen, and I got a lot to say as I'm waiting till this is a long scroller. Go follow, because you guys have been changing up. Go follow these guys at the Insiders. Their affiliate, College Base CNT. Matt is now M. Grissom. Q. Quentin Mills, of course. Q. Millie. That's 3 L's, 2 I's. Mr. Nick Hathcote, of course, at Nick Hathcote 413 Insiders FB. Closing thoughts, Mr. Grissom.
Yeah, let's keep this simple. If you go to The Insiders, you can find all of us. Matt, Q, Nick, Smitty, College Baseball Central's in our bio. I appreciate you trying to work through that. That made my brain hurt. It was never supposed to be that complicated. But thankfully, The Insiders, you can't forget that one, baby. Go follow it. Go follow College Baseball Central. We'll be bringing you a show every day in this College Baseball Central network. So that's going to be awesome. Tons of college baseball content out there for you guys.
Q.
Yeah, we'll be on a couple different shows, so look out for us. As always, we'll be here at ECSI. And then Matt and I will still have our show. We'll probably collab with some others over at College Baseball Central in the network. And then follow them. Make sure you're following us if you haven't, and just get ready. This season we're going to add a lot more. We're going to be more boots on the ground. Matt's going to a few tournaments. I'm going to a few destinations. So it's going to be a lot more content, a lot more media driven. You're still going to be able to get some of the best bets with us, in some form or fashion. We'll still have the Insiders Club to some degree, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So just hop in, take a seat, and let's go for a ride, because college baseball's here, and it's worth it.
And, of course, you'll catch both of them, whether it's on VSiN, Sports Grid, on the weekends, midweek, whatever. We'll make sure we get them on there as well. So from myself, Jeff Dawson, at EC Sports Investment, from Mr. Grissom, from Mr. Quentin Mills, we're back. Year number 4, guys. Congratulations. Couldn't be prouder. Everyone else, stay tuned. Tomorrow morning, Scotty Webb will be back 9:30 with his final report about the Super Bowl. And then from there, I will be with Andrew McGinnis, I assume, on Wager Talk to talk no NHL, maybe some Olympic hockey, and the Super Bowl as well. So everyone, thank you so much for following. Make sure you turn on those notifications, and we'll see you soon.